Hi BookTube! My name is Sarah and welcome to the Bookish Knitter. Today I am coming to you with my August 2022 wrap-up and stats video. So my laptop is over here beside me, so I do apologize if I keep looking over. I'm doing this instead of holding my tablet. So let's jump into it. For those of you who might be new to my monthly wrap-ups, what I do is I go through a bunch of stats that I keep. I keep spreadsheets of what I read and I love going through stats. So I'm going through all of my stats and then I will talk about my top 5 books of the month. So, in the month of August, I read 21 books. Not my best reading month, but not horrible. I did, like a lot of people, found myself a little bit slumpy towards the end of the month, but it's fine. Everything is good. In terms of my Goodreads goal, I am 8 books beyond my goal for the year. I've completed my yearly goal is what I'm trying to say. So I have now read 158 out of 150 books. I'm at 105% in case anyone is curious. So I hit my Goodreads goal in August. I'm very, very pleased with that. I've said it before. I always debate, should I raise it? And I'm like, no, let's just see where we land. I think 150 is a good number for me. There are some years that I've had close to 300, some that I've had closer to 200. So it really all does depend. We don't know what the year's going to hold. So I would one year like to hit the 365. I really, really would like to try and read 365 books in a year, but maybe that'll be a 2023 goal. We shall see. In terms of my star ratings, I read 4 3-star books, 6 3.5-star books, 8 4-star reads, 2 4.5-star books, and a single 5-star. I had another 5-star this month. I'm very excited about that. My average star rating for the month was 3.76 stars. That is up from July. That is up from July's. July's was 3.52 stars was my average star rating. So in terms of what did I read? I actually read quite a bit of romance this month, or back in August. I read 6 cozy mysteries, but I read 4 contemporary romance novels, 2 romantic suspense, 2 historical romances, 2 middle grade fiction, 2 YA contemporary, 1 inspirational romance, a YA historical, and a fiction novel. I just label it as fiction because I'm not sure exactly what else to label it as. In terms of category romance, you guys know I like to keep track of how many Harlequins I read every month. And in the month of August, I read, I read 7. 7, which worked out to 33% of what I read were category romances, which is quite fantastic. 2 historical books, both by the same author. It just so happened to work out that way. A desire, a love-inspired, an intrigue, a romantic suspense, and a special edition. So yay on that one. In terms of the audience that the books were geared towards, I read 16 books geared towards an adult audience, 3 YA novels, and 2 middle grade books, which would have been my Babysitters Club Sweet Valley Twins books. In terms of publication date, I read 2 books from the 80s, 2 from the 90s, 2 from the 2010s, 4 of them from 2020, 4 from 2021, and 7 of them published in 2022, which is very exciting. In terms of how I consumed my books, 8 of them were on audio, 10 of them were ebooks, and 3 were mass market paperbacks, so that's fun. Of the 21 books I read, 20 of them were full-length novels, and 1 was a novella. 15 of the books that I read were part of a series. 6 of the books were standalone. And of those 15 books that were part of a series, 3 were brand new series I started, and 12 of them were part of ongoing series, so that's fantastic. I read a grand total of 5,634 pages in the month of August, works out to roughly 182 pages a day, so that's not too shabby at all. So, a little bit of random fun. I always like doing these ones. So the highest rated book on Goodreads, and what I do is I go on Goodreads and I do shelve my books month to month. So as I finish books throughout the month, I kind of put them in a shelf. Then at the end of the year, I actually just get rid of all of those shelves and just have them lumped in as a year. But for the year that we're on, I do like to go shelf by shelf. So it makes it easier when I'm doing these videos at the end of the month. So for this, I actually sort it by average rating. Now, it's not always perfect. Sometimes I have a quick look to make sure that it's, but I do, out of curiosity, like to see what other people have rated stuff on Goodreads. So my highest rated book on Goodreads was A Rancher's Reward by J. Margot Critch. This came in with a 4.5 star rating. I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I think it's also got a higher star. It's a very new release. It was just published, and clearly there have only been a handful of people who have read it at this point, and all of us have really seemed to like it. So that's why it's got... I'm not justifying saying it's not a good book. It is a great book. It was fantastic. But I think like for a newer book, that's why the star rating is a little bit higher. The lowest rated book on Goodreads was Kidnapped by Francine Pascal. This one came in with a 3.56 star rating. I gave it 3.5 stars. This was like book 13 in the Sweet Valley High series. It was entertaining. Let's put it that way. The longest book I read in terms of page count was The Second First Chance by Mona Schroff. This came in at a whopping 352 pages. There is a book, it was The Summer Cottage by Annie Raines, that showed on Goodreads as being longer, but the difference was that contained a novella at the end, so I had to take that into consideration. So that one, The Summer Cottage, and this one, The Second First Chance, were kind of neck and neck in terms of page count. And the shortest book that I read was Botched Butterscotch by Amanda Flower, which came in at 76 pages, and this was one of the novellas in the Amish Candy Shop Mystery series. So, let's finish this off by talking about my top 5 reads of the month. So, yay, very exciting. So, the first book, as I like to say, this goes from least most favorite to most favorite. So coming in spot number 5, we have Toxic Toffee by Amanda Flower. I gave this book 4 stars. This is one of the books in the Amish Candy Shop series. I read a bunch of these. You're going to see another one on this list. It just so happened to work out that way. And this one was really good. As I mentioned in my most recent weekly reads video, that I'm finding that these books are getting a little bit darker as we go. And this was definitely one. This one dealt with moonshine, like the Amish people like making moonshine. And yeah, it was good. I don't want to give away too much. It sounds like I'm being very vague. And it is because I am. This is, I think, book 5 or 6, 4 or 5 maybe? No, I think it's number 5 in the series. And there's stuff that's happening in this book that I don't want to give away for those of you who are reading the series in order, because it's character development and the not the murders themselves, but like what the characters are dealing with in their own personal lives and how that's working out. So I don't want to give too much away. But there is a wedding in this book, and it's a character that a lot of people, at least me, love to dislike. I don't like to use the word hate. Hate's a very strong word, but the character who's getting married is not my favorite character in the series, and but I'm happy for her. It's good for her. Good for her. The next one I have coming in spot number 4 is A Pretend Match for the Viscount by Laura Martin. This is one of the 2 Harlequin historicals that I read in the month of August. This is one that I read for my Harlequin Anticipated Reads vlog. I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was so good, so cute. I loved the couple. I loved the writing on this one. I mean, it was delightful. It was absolutely delightful. If you're looking for something to read for autumn amour and you're looking for maybe a historical book, pick up this one. It's, I believe, the first in a series, maybe? I can't remember. But regardless, I read it as a stand. Like, if there are other books in the series, I have yet to read them. And this one read just fine on its own. Highly, highly recommend. Coming in spot number 3 is Lemon Drop Dead by Amanda Flower. This one came in at 4.5 stars. The first 2 books I talked about were both 4-star reads. So this one was a 4.5-star read. I just talked about this one like on Sunday or Monday in my weekly reads video, so I'm not going to get into the whole thing again. Again, I don't want to talk too much about the characters in this one because, again, this one involves another character who's having a baby shower. It's not the same character who just got married, side note. Totally different character. But, and then of course there's a murder, and Bailey and the rest of the crew in Harvest need to find out what happened. And yeah, it was really, really good. I enjoyed it a lot. Next up, coming in spot number 2, was One Night with the Maverick by Melissa Sennett. I gave this book 4.5 stars. I talked about this one as well in my Harlequin Anticipated Reads video. Oh my god, you guys, go and pick up this book right now. I'll wait. You could go ahead. You can order it on Amazon. Just, yeah, go ahead. Go. Okay. You're going to love this book. Love this book. If you are a contemporary romance fan, this was so good. So this is the story of a gentleman who is a widow. His wife passed away of cancer, and he meets up with a woman that he's known for years. I mean, they live in a very small town, so they're familiar with each other. And she was actually friendly, not best friends, but friendly with his wife, of course, back when she was alive. And they meet at this bar, and they strike up this friendship, and of course there's a romance there. What I loved about this, I mean, that's a very that's a trope that you see a lot. You know what I mean? Like a second chance romance, essentially. Not second chance in the fact that they were together before, but a second chance for him being a widow, having another chance at love. So, I mean, we're all familiar with this trope. The way this one was done just made my heart so happy because they didn't belittle his first marriage, and that's a huge deal to me, okay? You can, seems to be this connotation in romance, there used to be, it's changing a lot now, that you can only have the one true love. That's it. So the biggest example of this that I can see is from Virgin River, which is part of what really put me off that series at the very beginning. But with that main character, she arrives in town, she had been with her husband had been killed, and she still was kind of grieving him, and then she moves to town and meets this other guy, and all of a sudden, oh, I didn't love my first husband nearly as much as I love you. You are my one true love. He wasn't important. He wasn't as important. And that made me so angry about that series, along with every single person in that series had a baby, but we're not going to get into the Virgin River series right now. I'm not a fan. But for this book, they didn't do that with his first marriage. He loved his wife, and that never changed. And he always said he would always love his first wife. You know, if she didn't die, they would have still been together. Her picture was still hanging in the hallway. And the fact that the female lead was okay with this, you know, like, it made me happy because you can lose and love somebody again. Do you know what I mean? And even when one of the spouses dies, you often still see them, well, we were on the verge of divorce, or if he hadn't passed away, this would have happened, or if blah, 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 blah. But no, they didn't do that here. But they also didn't put her on a pedestal, you know, that she was this great, amazing woman. You know, they'd been together since high school, and again, this book just made my heart so happy. Guys, please do yourselves a favor and read this one. I absolutely loved it. But even above that, coming in spot number 1 was The Guncle by Stephen Rowley. Guys, this book was so good. Oh my God, this book was so good. This book at times had me, at one point in the car, I was driving to work listening to this on audio. It's narrated by the author, by the way. I was crying over a scene in this book. For those of you who have read the book, it's the letter. That's all I'm going to say. It's the letter. And it had me almost in tears driving to work. And then the end of the letter, there's this part that just had me burst out laughing. So the plot of this story is about this man by the name of Patrick, and he is a former current actor. He hasn't acted in a while, but he used to be on a sitcom, and he's gay. And he has a brother whose wife just passed away. And he's got a niece and a nephew. And the brother, in order to cope with this, like his wife had cancer, in order to cope with his wife's sickness and then eventual death, he got addicted to painkillers, prescription painkillers. And he decided to go into treatment. So he asked his brother, Patrick, can you look after my kids while I'm in this rehab facility? And Patrick, who's never had children, is like, sure. Why me? So he takes them back with him to Palm Springs, which is where he lives. And the story goes from there. And it's hilarious and heartwarming. They're, like, again, scenes that made me almost cry, scenes that made me laugh out loud. You know, there's a whole thing, they're talking about brunch. Like, the kids don't know what brunch is, right? But God, yeah, I mean, and teaching the kids about grief, and he's kind of dealing with his own grief as well from many, many years ago when his partner or his boyfriend died. And I don't want to get into all that because it's revealed as you're reading the book, but oh my God, this book was so good. So good. I am kicking myself now for sleeping on it because I bought it last year and I didn't get to it till this year. But do yourself a favor, if you have not read this one yet, read it now because it was so amazingly good. Yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved this book. So yeah. So anyway, guys, that was my August reading. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know in the comments below what was your favorite book that you read in the month of August. And until next time, take care and happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, guys.